Honeycomb candy. Has anyone ever had it before? Does anyone know what it is? Yeah, Caitlin has had it. Okay, have you ever made it before, Caitlin? No, okay. So it's really fun. It's called different things. So honeycomb candy, cinder toffee is another name for it, but I don't think that sounds particularly appetizing. The reason it's called honeycomb, there's actually not that much honey in it. It's only 1 tablespoon of honey. The reason it's called honeycomb is it sort of looks like a honeycomb. It's going to have those sort of air pockets. I just want to kind of explain the chemical aspect of it before we get started. We're making a caramel, right? So we're taking sugar, we're melting down sugar for it to get caramelized. If we were making a true caramel sauce or like even a hard caramel, we could actually stop the process at that point, pour it out, let it harden completely. You could add, before you go and pour it out, you can add in butter or heavy cream to get more of a sauce or a chewy caramel. But what we're doing is adding baking soda to it. Baking soda reacts normally in our baking to acids, so lemon juice or baking buttermilk, like those kinds of ingredients to help your baked good rise. But baking soda also gets activated from heat. So we are going to be heating up this hot caramel, adding in baking soda at the very end once the caramelization process is complete. And it's going to cause the whole thing to sort of get really, really bubbly and like slowly build into this like crazy science experiment. It's really cool, but as I said, it does happen fast. So we want to make sure we have all of our ingredients ready to go and all of our equipment. So I want to get a pan, a baking pan, either lined with parchment paper or a slip mat. We're going to be pouring our honeycomb out onto this to set completely before you break it up and go to eat it. So we have this. I also have in my pan right now, it's a half a cup of white sugar, I actually don't have the water in here yet. So it's half a cup of white sugar, 2 tablespoons of corn syrup, 1 tablespoon of honey. I'm going to add into here my 2 tablespoons of water. Okay, do not add the baking soda in yet, but have it measured out and ready to go. Okay, so I have next to the stove a little container with my 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Okay, I'll see what happens there. Okay, so again, just to reiterate, so there we go. In this pot, we have just our sugar, our honey, water, corn syrup. That's it, okay? And I have in this little dish here, I have in this dish here baking soda. Okay, so this is just 1 teaspoon of baking soda that I'm gonna set aside. I also have a spatula, okay? What we are looking for is a golden caramel color, okay? So like almost like an amber kind of tone to it. And it's gonna happen pretty quick, as I said. Use your spatula, you can mix it up. So we're just gonna mix this up a little bit, and then we're gonna kind of leave it. So I'm gonna tap my spatula, set it aside, and we're gonna watch this do its thing. It's gonna start to get really bubbly. I can turn up the heat, and I have the heat at like a medium high right now. Those bubbles are gonna start to come up and kind of almost travel to the middle, and the whole thing will turn into a rolling bubble, and then we'll start to see it change colors. Caramel is definitely the kind of thing you don't wanna walk away, because as soon as you do, it will burn. Also, obviously, just be very careful because this is gonna be hot sugar, and so you don't wanna stick your finger in there or anything. It's not gonna like bubble up, it's not an oil, so it's not gonna like bubble out of the pan and splash you, unless you put something cold, and then it will, but we're not doing that. Okay, it might be hard to see, but it's starting to change colors a little bit. It's not quite as crystal clear as it was before. It has almost like a yellow tinge to it, which is good. That's what we want. On the edges here, can you start to see that it's turning a darker yellow? Can anybody else see that? Maybe? Bring this in a little bit. Just hoping my phone doesn't like fall here into the boiling sugar. There's no recovery from that. Putting it in a like dry rice will not help that scenario. Okay. Can you imagine going into like an Apple store or something with like a caramel encrusted phone being like, I need it fixed. So I'm just swirling the pan. I don't want to stick my spatula back in there. Yeah, my phone is rejoining, so hopefully. All right, so it's getting this deep brown amber color is really the best way to put it. Okay, so you can see that color now, so it like changed significantly from when the camera cut out. Okay, so this is done actually. I'm gonna turn off my heat and I'm gonna take my 1 teaspoon of baking soda. All right, so mine's gonna get burnt because I'm waiting too long, but I'm gonna take the baking soda, I'm gonna dump it in and take my spatula and stir it up. All right, it's bubbling up significantly. I wanna be careful to not beat the air bubbles out of it, but I do want to make sure the baking soda gets fully mixed in. Okay, so, all right, and now I'm gonna pour it out onto my baking sheet. I don't wanna push it down. I'm gonna let it spread on its own and do its own thing. So you can see as I'm plopping it down, yes, plop this down. As I'm plopping this down, how bubbly it got. Okay. I'm using the spatula to help get everything out of here. And then I can kind of just rock this back and forth a little bit, but I don't want to really push down on it, okay? So I have a nice little amount of honeycomb candy here for me. Okay, I'm gonna save the spatula, which also has the honeycomb. This has to cool completely. It'll take like probably, it does kind of look like peanut butter, but I wouldn't like, you know, go and lick it like you would peanut butter right now because it is really, really hot. All right, as it cools, it's gonna harden. And then what's gonna happen is once it's completely cooled in like an hour or so, we're gonna pick up this giant chunk of honeycomb and just sort of slam the whole thing down on the baking sheet. Okay, slam it down. It's gonna break apart into little pieces. And those pieces you can eat. You can use it to decorate cakes, top ice cream with it, lots of different stuff. I had put in the recipe that if you wanted chocolate chips as an optional thing, you can melt the chocolate chips, dip your honeycomb into the chocolate because chocolate and honey go really well together, and that's really nice. Obviously, if you're not tempering your chocolate, it's not going to get completely solidified. It'll kind of melt a little bit, but that's okay. You want to store it when it's done, room temperature. You can put it in Tupperware in a little plastic bag on your counter. I find if you put it in the refrigerator, it tends to then get soft and sticky, which you don't want. Cool. All right, so I just broke this off so you could see. So this just like cracked right apart. And this is why we call it honeycomb. All right, it kind of looks honeycomb-like. So these bubbles are because the baking soda was activated because of the heat and it bubbled up and created this rise in our caramel. So, and this cooled down really fast. Like as you can see, I'm touching it, no problem. It's completely cool to the touch. And again, I could dip this in chocolate now if I wanted. I'm gonna taste it. It's like, there's like a honeycomb candy bar, I think, in Europe. And but I've never tasted anything like it in like an American candy, but I have used this to make a candy bar before. It was really good. So, not great for your teeth. I will say that. So, make sure you brush your teeth after eating it.